Hey everyone, it is Shannon, and I'm here today to talk about a film for 31 Days of Horror 2019, and today I'm talking about The Ritual from 2017. This is a film that is available here on Netflix in Canada. It does say it's a Netflix original film, but I think it was released maybe in the UK. It's a UK-Canada co-pro. I don't know, sometimes it's hard to tell these things, but that's just some info about the movie, and let's get into the actual info about the movie. And this is directed by David Bruckner. It is based on the novel by Adam Neville, which I didn't know going in. It was adapted by Joe Barton, and it stars Rafe Spall, Robert James-Collier, Arsher Ali. I'm not sure if I'm saying that name right. Not sure. Sam Troughton and Paul Reid. Yeah, I think, I don't know if I got any of those names right. I don't know if I got any of them right. Anyway, link to IMDb down below if you want to check out the cast and crew and information about the film. As I mentioned, this is from 2017. It is definitely a horror movie and also a thriller. I would also call this a drama, to be honest, but it is a horror movie. This is horror. I gave this a 9.5 out of 10 or 4.5 out of 5 and a heart, and I might even increase it because my goodness, it was a good one. It was a good one. The Ritual. So this I actually had zero expectations for. I have looked at it on Netflix time and time again, but sometimes I find with Netflix movies, when you don't know anything about it, it just, you don't know. You don't know how it's going to go, if it's going to be great, if it's not going to be great, if it's going to be somewhere in the middle. I don't know. So I had resisted it for a long time, but it was on my list, I think, not only this year, but last year, maybe the year before. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go for it. And it took me a couple of times to get through this one. One time, it doesn't really matter why. When I did come back to it, I think I started it from the beginning because it's not terribly long. It's sort of like an hour and a half, hour, 40 minutes. This was so good. My goodness, this was so good. And it was scary. And it was just, and it made me feel, and it made me think. I really, really enjoyed it. Oh yeah, but I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10. I wouldn't. I'm not I'll get to that. Maybe I'll do a spoiler zone for this one. So yeah, this features a bunch of guy friends who decide to go on a lad's holiday, and they decide to go hiking in Sweden, or like between Sweden and Norway, a particular trail between Sweden and Norway. And normally they would do something a bit more like go to a city or, whatever, but they decide hiking in Sweden is going to be their lads' holiday. It sounds like they do this, I don't know, yearly or every once in a while. And they're in their, I don't know, no one ever says an age, but they're mostly married. I don't know if anyone has kids, but they're 30s, I guess, late 20s, 30s. And it sounds like they were university friends and stayed friends or came back to being friends. I don't know. Anyway, so it's so funny because how many horror movies do we have where, like, the story, is a bunch of people go hiking or go into the woods or go into whatever, and it all goes horribly wrong. And so many of those movies are the same. Like slightly different and the same. But I found this one was a lot different in the fact that I feel like a lot of those movies you don't care about the characters. Like, they're annoying characters and you're just sort of waiting for them to be picked off. Now, that is a generalization, and not all films like that, like with this premise, are like that. But with this story, I felt so much for the characters and their challenges and their relationships. And that is, I think, one of the huge strengths of this film. Like, not only was it scary and the going into the woods and all the stuff that happened completely freaked me out, and it was dealt with so well. I'm not gonna, actually, I don't think I'll do spoilers for this one because I think it's better. Like, honestly, if you like horror and you haven't seen this, just watch it. Just watch it. So I'm just giving flat out recommendation for this one. But I felt like this scariness and the story of like all of the horror stuff was cool, but I was so invested in the characters and I appreciated them and I felt for them, and things were complicated, and it's an interesting look at friendship and the complex and complicated dynamics between friendships, and even like in a friend group, how there are little groups. There are people that, someone who always takes the lead, someone who always complains, someone, and somehow you find your way and you just, you know each other at a certain point. When you've known each other for so long, you know how you are and you know who is going to do do what, and you know, like, so I really appreciated it from that perspective by showing the depth of friendship in that way, in the minutia of things. And then also some of the characters, like the different dynamics between the characters, I found really, really interesting. And sometimes you could see the strength of that, you could see the weakness of that, you could see the hurt of that, and you could see the strength of it. I already said strength, but I couldn't think of a fourth thing. So yeah, so my goodness, like for me, that's what got me. And then like all of the scary stuff was just like beyond, like it was done so well. It was done so well in the fact that it doesn't relay what's going on, or like there's so much fear and unknown, but there's enough given that you're creeped out. And like it was wild. So for me, I was very impressed by this one. I felt it was um something that I appreciated, having characters that were mature, that had life experience and long friendships. A lot of horror movie, especially in the sort of like goes into the woods and it all goes wrong, often features younger characters, teens, late teens, and we have lots of movies about that, and I enjoy a fair amount of them. Not all of them. I've seen a lot. So for me, it was nice to see something where the characters were older, they were more experienced, they had life experience, they had, and but they still could be scared. And I think for that, the fear on the character read so strongly. And I think that's one of the things that horror movies don't always do. Like they'll show reactions and you know, screams and stuff like that. But showing someone and the actor who can portray that kind of deep-rooted fear scares the audience, because if they're scared, we're going to be scared, you know, like that. And for me at least, that's works, and that's one of the reasons why, although this is a completely different type of film, I found the Texas Chainsaw Massacre so horrifying, is that the character was so scared. I found it scary. Like, of course what was happening was scary too, but I felt the fear so much, and that's the movie that made me realize the power of that. And I thought that was done very well here. And you also, again, you have characters you know, that are older, so like, you know, they've dealt with stuff, they've gone through stuff, but still they can be scared. So it was formidable. I was so impressed, and I'm really happy that I included it this year. It took a couple of years for me to get to that one, but I am thrilled that I did. And it definitely goes in the scary column. I feel like a lot of the movies that I end up watching don't end up being scary, and I don't know if that's just like volume or whatever, but this one, it was scary. So let me know, have you seen The Ritual? Did you enjoy it? I'm not going to talk about, as I said, I'm not going to talk about the spoilery stuff, but any criticisms that I have would be more in the land of like, you know, the explanation, or like but I don't actually have that, like I didn't, like, I would have one very minor critique, but I felt like it dealt, you know, it happens in a lot of movies like this, but I felt it was actually done well, so it's not actually even a critique, and it's just sort of more like, what's the explanation for the thing and the resolve, if there is one. And but I thought this was so well, the atmosphere, the acting, and it was so, for me, I was so happy to see Robert James-Collier. I haven't seen him. I wasn't sure if I recognized him. I was like, I think I know you, and he's from Downton Abbey. I think that's probably what most people know him for. I think his character's name was Thomas. But for me, I know him from Coronation Street. He played Liam. And so I think when you watch a show like Coronation Street, or you watch something that's a soap that you see like so many episodes of, I haven't watched Coronation Street for years, but I remember the character of Liam so well. And I saw him every week for how many ever years he was on the show. And so it was really nice to see him, and he was really good in this. Both him and Rafe Spall, everyone was good, but in particular them and their friendship and their connection and how they talked about things. I really liked it. It felt so true, and the acting was so good. And I don't know, I looked up Rafe Spall, and I think that mostly I know he's one of the Andes, and Hot Fuzz is the thing I would know him from. I haven't seen a lot of the other things that he has been in, but I gotta tell you, I am going to go look, because he is really good in this, and his acting was great. So yeah, so there you go. There is The Ritual. Let me know if you have seen it, if you enjoyed it, and if you have any recommendations for other films of this ilk. I would love to hear them. Thank you so much for watching.